For more updates, click on subscribe and click on bell button for latest notifications. Hi friends, welcome to Tech ARK IT YouTube channel. My name is Ravi. In this video session, we are going to see that how we are going to combine multiple network interface cards as a group or as a team, which can work to provide as a redundancy. So how it provide as a redundancy, and we are going to see that. So let's before jumping into the practical the scenario, I'm just going to explain how it's going to be.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
You work over here and see this. So example say that this is our standard way, like how we connect our server machines and the desktop machines. Example in this picture, if you can see this, the left side of it, the machine which is the server, which has one NIC card and which has the IP address as 192.168.150, and which is connected to the network switch, and all the clients is also connected to this network switch. Now, so this server hosting some web application, example say that any other applications which accessible throughout this network. So this is a server and client architecture, which is going to be the clients are going to be access the server using this IP address or the name, DNS name. So what happens in case of, so you are playing your critical, you are running your critical applications, so business critical applications on the server. All of this sudden what happens is that one of this, so it has only one NIC card, that NIC card went to failed. So the NIC card failed. What happens? The servers will get request timed out. So it's not going to be served. So where is your business critical application is going to be solved using this server, but the server is okay and the application is running fine, but all of this sudden the NIC card went to fail. What happens? Then so whatever the high-end configuration machine you are using on that server, but all the resource is no point which is not serving the data to the client. So let's see that another scenario over here. I have the machine with a new 2 NIC cards. Okay, so in this case both the NIC cards are working individually and they have 2 IP address, and the server is configured good with the application configuration, and I have the 2 NIC cards, which means that if one fails another has the redundant, but both the NIC cards are working individually, it's not teamed. So they have 2 IP addresses, one is 2.150 and another is 2.151. Now the users knows that 150 IP address, they not know 151, or they always used to have 150 address or the one server name which is pointing to that 150 address. Maybe they know the name. Then what happens, all of a sudden the NIC one failed. So the data still can be served using 151 or the DNS name which is already mapped to the 150 address, but the 151 address is failed. So what you have to do, you have to manually switch over the name, DNS name, to the 151, which will take some time to replicate, or which will take some time to resolve this DNS naming, not immediately. So in that delay, so there is a, you will get that desktops is that they are not, the end users then complains that I am not able to access. So if you have a smaller group, or if you have a small infrastructure, then you can communicate to the user saying that hey, this NIC card went down and you have to use this IP address as an alternative, or otherwise you have to bring down the NIC 1 configuration and apply the same configuration to the NIC card. So on the production environment, this is not a good solution, always changing the IP address and changing this DNS configuration and all the stuff. So either you have this alternative or the redundant, but this is not a good way to do this stuff. So we came this is a very good solution over here. In case of something happened to the one of the NIC card, then other NIC card can serve without interrupting the services to the end users. So what happens over here actually, how this teaming works? This teaming works over here is that one NIC card, in case so both the NIC cards do not have any IP address. They just connected with the physical network, and top of that we are going to create a virtualized NIC card or the virtualized configuration where it applicable to the both the NIC cards. See this. So here this is the one NIC card and this is the second NIC card. This team 0 is a virtual configuration, so there is no NIC card, there is no nothing. So this is a virtual interface which has all the IP configuration, and this works as a master configuration. For this both the NIC cards are working as slaves, which means that whatever the configuration type you use, maybe you use a round robin mechanism, or you may use load balancing mechanism, or you may use failover mechanism, or you may use broadcast mechanism. So whatever the failover method you use on this configuration, example say that if you are using the round robin mechanism, which means that both the NIC cards have these, both the NIC cards are serving the data. Example, this is called as an active, but the request will be going to the one NIC card for the one user and second user for the second NIC card. Like that, it's going to be round robin mechanism to serve the data to the clients. But if you use a load balancing mechanism, which means that one is having the load, higher load, then the other will take the load, and one have the less load and other will give the load to that NIC card. So it's going to be a load balancing mechanism, or if you have the multiple NIC cards or the multiple serving data, so there's going to be load balancing in between the cards. But if you are going to use a failover mechanism, so one work as an active, another work as a backup. So if active fails, then the backup will be automatically brought up. You don't need to do any configuration changes over here. So that was the, so example say one NIC 1 got failed, then automatically NIC 2 will be served with the data immediately without any disruption to the clients. Even the client does not know that the NIC card 1 went down. So in meanwhile, if you have any other NIC card, you can replace it or raise to the request to the vendor and get the card and replace it. Until that, the NIC card 2 is going to be served the data. So this way, if you use this method on the production environments, so that serves your data uninterruptedly. So you have the redundancy on the NIC cards or the network interface cards. Like your data will be served to the clients without interruption. How? So the same scenario we are going to see that how we are going to configure on the Linux machine over here. Let's see that. So this is the machine I have over here. So this machine I have, so I'm just switching back to the root user over here. Let's see this. So here I have actually three three devices I have over here. One is ENS 37, 38 and 33. So currently I am connecting using this ENS 33, which is already connected, and another two are also connected, but we are going to disconnect them and use them as a team. These two individually connected now, but we are going to use them as a individually. So how we are going, so sorry, it's currently already configured as a individually, then we are going to make them as a team and configure the IP address over there, and bring down one interface and see this whether we are getting any interruption on the service which is serving the data over here. Okay, so let's see this, how we are going to configure this configuration, and what is we have to do over here. So in a previous situations where RHCL5 or RHCL6 was there, so you have to use that mode numbers one, like 0, 1, 2, 3, something like that. But bonding will not support actually an LSCP. Without configuring that LSCP on the network side, you can also configure the LSCP on this teaming as well. Okay, so we are just going to configure that one. So let's first of all delete that previous configuration, nmcli. So just see this, how many connections we have over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 3 configurations over here, which is actually activated and running over here. The connection name called wired1 and connection name called wired2. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to bring down that connections. So the wired connections I don't want actually. So wired connection 1 and wired connection 2. So both the connections I just brought down. Okay, nmcli connection status show. You can see this now, wired 1 and wired 2 has been disconnected. There is no usage, and maybe we can also delete these connections if you don't want. So which can cause the confusion later point of time. Now both the connections has been deleted. Right, now we are going to create a fresh connection with the team configuration. Then we are going to make both the NIC cards, the interface cards as a slaves for that, configuration. So if you bring down one NIC card also, still the data can be served. So in order to do that, what you have to do here is that we are going to create a connection with the team configuration. nmcli connections, add the type. Whatever the type we are going to take here is that team. The configuration is team, and the configuration name, whatever the configuration name you would like to put as over here, I'm just going to keep this as a team 0. And if name, what is the name you would like to use for this connection over here. So I say that it's to be identical over here, that's why I just use the same name for this interface name also as a team name. And I'm just going to apply this configuration over here with single quotations, remember, and enabled process. So multiple enabled process over here, and I'm within first process I'm just enabling this double quotations and saying that runner. Okay, after that you just put a colon over here, and in this the next process you have to write is that name, and I'm just going to give the space over here and say that active backup. So I'm just going to configure this configuration as active and backup, which means that failover mechanism, whenever one card fails, another card becomes an active and serve the data as soon as possible, or as soon immediately one card fails. See this? So we have to remember this over here. So in examination, if you did a mistake like any of the quotation marks, closed quotation marks, or the open quotation marks, or the open braces or the closed braces, if you mess up, then the configuration is not going to be effective or not going to be run perfectly. So now the team connection has been added successfully. Now let's go and see this nmcli connection show. Now the connection has been activated or not activated, it's just available over here. So now what you have to do, that you have to activate this configuration and bring the configuration, so that you have to assign the IP, provide the IP address over here, and bring up that connection, then it's going to be work. nmcli connection modify team 0. I'm just going to modify this one, and I'm going to put this address. I just say 192.168.2.156. it's the IP address. I'm just going to put /24. remember, you have to put /24 over here. IPv4.gateway, and if I already have the gateway for the different one, but I cannot use multiple gateways over here, 2.2 IPv4 DNS. So just I'm going to put the DNS as 8.8.8, or maybe I have the same gateway IP address as the DNS. This is the DNS over here, and just say that connection auto connect, which means that whenever your system has been rebooted, it should connect automatically. You don't need to connect manually, go there and activate the connection manually, no need. So just connect automatically. So IPv4 method, so which means that I'm not going to use any DHCP over here. I'm just going to manually assign the IP address. That's what I'm doing over here. Now the IP address configuration has been applied to the team 0. Now add both the NIC cards as slaves to that configuration over here. nmcli connection add type team slave. So I'm just going to add this as a slaves, the connection names. So what is that connection name over here? So I'm going to put identical over here. This one port 0 or port 1 or port 2, maybe you can use port 0 or port 1. Okay, I'm just going to use port 0. So the name which I'm going to use over here is that ENS37. I already have the same connection name, right? I'm going to use the same ENS37. Team 0 is a master one, and I'm adding this ENS37 as a slave. So I'm defining master as a team 0. Okay, enter, and the same configuration I'm just going to apply to this ENS38 and port 1. So team connection add, the slave connection is going to be port 1, and the interface name is going to be ENS38. Now we have added one is on a master, another two as an a slaves. Let's see this nmcli connection show over here. You can see this, both the configurations got activated, and you can see this nmcli device status. So both the cards has been connected, and the team 0 has connected too. So actually it has 47 IP address over here, so it is going to be ping. So you can see this IP address over here is that the team 0 has the IP address has 192.168.2.47. okay, now I'm just see this, you can see this ENS37 and 38 which do not have any IP address over here, so which is say that the master of this card is going to be team 0 over here. You can see this, so that is E configuration ENS37 and 38, and the team 0 which has 192.168.2.47 over here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to ping this IP address from the external configuration and see this if we can get any interruption while pinging it, or while example say that if I bring any connection down over here which can interrupt anything over here. Let's see this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to bring down this connection down, and team 0 hyphen port 0. So I'm just going to bring down this connection over here, and you can see this. So the ping is not interrupting, it's continuously pinging. Or if you can go and bring down the port 1, so what happens? So it's going to be interrupted. You can see this, it's not pinging. You will get the request timeout over here. See this, it's getting request timed out. But if I bring down any one of the connection over here, what happens? nmcli connection, and bring up team 0 hyphen port 1, which is not actually the master one, but what happens to the connection? See this, it's immediately available to the users. So that's what you can do over here. Like you can see this, the active backup is working fine as expected, so without any problems. So that's what is the connection makes the difference for us. You can see this, the connection, the team port 1 is not connected on any device over here. Like this, you can use this configuration to configure as a team. Now the team works fine without any instruction. You can also see this team DCTL team 0 state. What is the state is running over here? You can see this, the runner is an active backup over here, and one connection is up. See this, both the connections are up, right? But if I bring down one of the connection over here, what happens? So just go and bring down this connection over here. Sorry, bring down this connection over here, and nmcli connection down, and team 0 hyphen port 1, and verify that the state. What happens? So there is only one port is currently active, the another port is not active. So the active port is ENS37. But if I bring up the same connection over here, it can show that both the connections are up. So this is what you can verify your configuration over here. Or maybe you can disconnect this device. Disconnect ENS37, disconnected successfully. I can go ahead and see this. So whatever it is, you maybe bring up the device, or you maybe bring up the connection, or does not matter, but both the connections at the same time, one maybe work as an active, another maybe work as a backup. Then if you bring up any device up and down, so there is no interruption to the users. So this is going to be an active backup configuration for the teaming. That's about teaming, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos and courses. Please follow us on social networking sites. If you have any technical related questions, you can ask.